My name is Oliver Muchiri, and I work as a service designer at ThinkPlace, based off in the Nairobi office. I lead a practice that we call the service design and system strengthening practice here in Nairobi. Now, onto the first question in terms of the role and the impact of service design and design as a whole, I see it twofold. One, design allows us as designers to truly solve the most meaningful, the most impactful, the most pressing challenges for the communities or the people or the organization we're designing for and with. And remember, there's always the risk that as a designer or even as a client, as a donor, that you want to solve for the challenges that you think are the pressing challenges for the people you're designing for and with. But design then reminds you, take a step back. That's not the challenge. The challenge that we're designing for the problem statement lies or is effectively well told by the people you're going to design for and with. And number two, I see design as having the role of being able to design interventions that can actually then address these challenges. Because remember what I said, you're designing or you're responding to real actual problems that your clients, your communities, your users are actually experiencing. And so then you have the advantage of design, then has the advantage of leading you to interventions that actually lead or have the ability to solve for these problems. And I see that as a twofold kind of advantage that design and service designers have to actually create impact. Now, onto the role of AI and automation when it comes to design. I see the tension that designers face. When you understand the process, you have the tools and the methodologies to solve for any problem in any sector. But designers also, on the other hand, cannot be experts in every sector that we design for. For example, here in sub-Saharan Africa, we deal with challenges that touch on education, on health, on agriculture, on climate. As a designer, I cannot be an expert, technical expert in all of these topics. AI, on the other hand, helps me ramp up real quick when I'm solving for a certain technical subject. And what that does for me as a designer is actually makes me a holistic designer. So I combine my expertise in problem solving in terms of the process, the tools, the mindset I have when it comes to design and service design. And then I use AI to help me understand better the technical subject matter that we are addressing for the people we're designing for and with. And in essence, like I've said, you then end up becoming a holistic designer. You understand the technical, and of course, you leverage your design thinking experience and methodologies. Now, if there was to be a protagonist to the presentation that Naserian and I made in Helsinki, and for context, our presentation focused on designing responsive, user-centered primary healthcare systems in sub-Saharan Africa by leveraging the framework we designed that is called the Community Insights to Action Framework. Now, for context, to design responsive primary healthcare systems, we understand or acknowledge that the people we're designing for, which are who are the marginalized communities in sub-Saharan Africa, have to be at the center of that framework, have to be at the center of that challenge. And I would say the protagonist or the main character of these stories would be those marginalized communities. They're the ones who understand the challenges when it comes to primary healthcare systems in their communities. They're the ones who know the pain points, even the enablers to accessing healthcare systems, quality healthcare systems within the continent. And I would say those would be the main characters. They are, quote unquote, the people who own the story, the people who own the show. Now, what advice would I have for organizations that have not leveraged or seen the importance of service design and design in their capabilities? One, I don't think I have struggled for that. My reflections here are every organization across the globe, across sub-Saharan Africa, where we work a lot, should actually have design and service design as part of their DNA. It's an everyday life. It's a way of thinking. I would want to imagine that every organization, be it private sector, public sector, non-government organizations, even government organizations, are working towards a certain outcome for their users, for their consumers, for the people who they're designing for their, quote unquote, their customers, to be able to truly drive value, meaningful value that will drive impact to whoever you're targeting your products and services for, then truly design thinking and service design should be at the center, at the heart of what you do. It's not a strategy, it's not a component of your work, it is part of your DNA. And that's what we're advising our clients across sub-Saharan Africa. And that's the kind of DNA, the kind of approach that we use here at ThinkPlace, that everything we do, we're doing it from the perspective of the people who are going to consume the products and the services that we end up co-designing with them. And lastly, the question around how service design could address the challenge of short-term and long-term impact and goals. I see first of all, that there has to be a recognition that in any organization and anywhere else, even within the communities that we work for, there's going to be short-term goals and long-term goals, and these are going to lead to short-term impact and long-term impact. I think it is only fair that we acknowledge that these two exist and they complement each other. Now, the role of service design from where I sit is to help prioritize what is your short-term goal or short-term impact, what is your long-term goal leading to a long-term impact, and overall ground you in terms of what is your North Star, what is the overall goal that you want to have. And for you to reach to your North Star, then you're looking at small incremental changes, short-term goals that lead to that long-term impact at the very tail end of whatever process or whatever project that you're working on. So I'd say these two coexist. The point of service design is to help prioritize what is short-term goal and what is long-term goal. And overall, as a closing out, we are seeing such huge impact of service designers and designers as a whole in sub-Saharan Africa. We are seeing a lot of innovative solutions or even solutions that have existed, but they have now been redesigned to truly fit into the context of sub-Saharan Africa, but most importantly, to be able to address the real, most pressing challenges, like I said at the very beginning. And that has big impact because communities are then appreciating the role of service designers because then you're solving truly for the challenges they have and you're also empowering them to take up these interventions and run with them, own them, and in effectively and in effect, like we say here at ThinkPlace, you're actually building communities themselves or your users to become designers. And I don't think there's any bigger impact than that. Thank you.